Hello, everyone. We're going to give folks just a moment here more before we get started. Thank you all for being here with us this afternoon. All right, well, according to my clock, it's about 5 minutes past noon, so we will get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our EarthFest Proclamation event with Mayor Kim Norton. This is part of our EarthFest celebration this year, and we're excited to have you all here with us virtually. Unfortunately, I was having technical issues with my video, so you can't see me, but I'm Stephanie Hotzenbeeler. I'm one of the EarthFest co-chairs, and I'll be with you today for our event. Our EarthFest steering committee and partners have put together a full lineup of virtual events on all topics Earth related. And we invite you to visit our brand new website at earthfestrochestermn.org or follow us on Facebook at EarthFest Rochester MN to sign up for our upcoming events. Today's events have been made possible by our sponsors that you were seeing on our pre-event slideshow. Some of those sponsors include Fresh Energy, Mayo Clinic, AARP, Conservation Minnesota, and Destination Medical Center. If you have any technical issues today, we will be able to help you. You can message me, Stephanie Hotzenbeeler, or message Conservation Minnesota account, and we can help you out. I'll also put my contact information in the chat, and you'll be able to message me that way as well. If you could please keep your microphones turned off unless invited to ask questions, but you can also always submit questions through the chat, which will be monitored throughout the event. And you may turn your video on or off as you prefer. This session is going to be recorded, and we'll be sending out a link and sharing the link of the recording to you, as well as on our Facebook page and on our website. So we're going to get started with today's topic and welcome Mayor Kim Norton. And we also have Lauren Jensen with us today, the city's sustainability coordinator. So I am going to turn it over to Lauren and Mayor Norton.
Thanks, Stephanie. I think we have Mayor Norton kicking us off here today with the proclamation for our 2021 EarthFest.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And it's my distinct pleasure to be able to kick off EarthFest 2021 with a proclamation. So I shall read it. Whereas Earth Day is Thursday, April 22nd, 2021, and whereas the mission of EarthFest is to raise awareness, to provide education and resources, and to create inspiration and opportunities to develop a more environmentally sustainable community. And whereas the 6th annual EarthFest is set to kick off a unique month of over 20 virtual and in-person events celebrating the earth and sustainability. And whereas this year's programming includes engaging virtual sessions on urban agriculture, home energy savings, clean air lawn care, electric vehicles, resilient yards, green burials, and more. Other events include several films hosted by Transition Rochester, native plant sales at Quarry Hill, and EarthFest trivia on April 9th at 7 p.m., environmental justice community engagement sessions with MPCA's Environmental Justice Advisory Group on April 26th at 7 p.m., and festivities will wrap up on May 1st at the first farmers market of the season with live music and exciting giveaways. And whereas EarthFest is a wonderful opportunity each year for Rochester and the surrounding areas to celebrate the earth, learn about sustainability, and join with our neighbors in a family-friendly event. Now, therefore, I, Kim Norton, Mayor of the City of Rochester, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2021 as EarthFest 2021. And all citizens are encouraged to participate in any or all of these events so as to make Rochester an even better place to live. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the corporate seal of the city of Rochester to be affixed on the 22nd day of April, 2021. And I shall sign my name and hand it over to the EarthFest committee.
Thank you, Mary Norton. We are excited to kick off this month of events. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here now. We have a little sustainability update that the mayor and I will be going through to kind of show everyone what the city and our partners have been up to in the last year here. So this is just a little bit of a year in review. The items that we'll be going over that have happened over the course of 2020 are the city's launching of a green team, our Green Step Cities Recognition Program, a community bike grant, the Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force, air quality monitors, the benchmarking program, our sustainability website, and sustainability asset map. So just a quick overview to give everyone a good idea of what is sustainability. Rochester defines sustainability as preserving and protecting natural resources in a manner today so that they can be enjoyed by future generations. We've really been working to build out the three-tiered concept of sustainability, recognizing that it's not only the environmental aspects that go into it, but the economic and the social ones as well, to be a truly sustainable and resilient community. A lot of our work is guided by the goals that we've enacted back in 2017. So these include a 1.5% annual retail energy savings, 25% renewable energy by 2025, and a GHG or greenhouse emission reductions of 15% by 2015, 30% by 2025, and 80% by 2050. This graph over here shows our total emissions per capita, including waste, travel, and energy. And we're actually in the process of updating this information up through 2020. So we'll have a little bit better data to share shortly. I'll pass it over to Mayor Norton to share a little bit about our City Green Team here.
Thank you, Lauren. We have had a really busy year. And one of the first things back 2 years ago that we talked about was starting a green team. It was established in January of 2020 finally, and we're going to evaluate how the city in its day-to-day operations can be more sustainable. There are representatives from each of the city departments, and some of the projects and initiatives include styrofoam ban in city facilities, and the city council actually voted on that, building temperature guidelines, procurement analysis, waste and recycling review, and I'm hoping for more work on that, and energy saving opportunities.
The city also received its Green Steps recognition again this year in 2020. So Rochester has participated in this program since its inaugural year back in 2010. It's a voluntary challenge, assistance, and recognition program that helps cities achieve their sustainability and quality of life goals. So there are 29 different best practices in this program and over 180 specific actions that cities can track and measure. So we received step 4 and 5 recognition again in 2020, which is the highest level of recognition you can receive. And that's for measuring, reporting, and showing improvement on anywhere between 7 and 15 metrics. So step 5 recognition means that not only are we measuring these things, but we're showing improvement on them. And some of these metrics include city buildings and lighting, transportation mode and miles, open space, parks and trees, stormwater and wastewater, and our city fleets. I'll pass it off to Mayor Norton here for the next one.
So that we participate in the Community Bike Grant Program, Community Development Department, the Public Library, and 9 other partner agencies and departments offered a free bike share program to the community in 2019. In 2020, a community grant was set up, and we distributed underutilized bikes from the program. Bikes were granted to individuals and organizations within the community, and that was done by those who demonstrated need. 34 individuals and 8 organizations were awarded the bikes.
In April, we kicked off our Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force. Thanks again to Mayor Norton convening this group. There are over 40 members of our community that include a diverse cross-section of the community, and they're helping guide the development and implementation of a sustainability and resiliency action plan. So really ensuring that the community has a voice throughout this process. Over 37 community listening sessions this past fall to get additional input on this plan. And through those, we connected with over 110 community members, in addition to 170 plus survey responses that we received. So all of that community input was brought back to the task force to then help develop a set of strategies that fall within these 6 focus areas, which are climate change resilience, accessible transportation, vibrant neighborhoods, resilient economy, city for health, and environmental health. And we're hopefully getting ready to launch this plan and share it with the community later this month. Additionally, as a part of this task force, we received a couple of awards of recognition in the past year. So in December, we were a large city mention in the Mayor's Climate Action Awards. And in early January of this year, we were recognized at the Minnesota Climate Adaptation Awards as the recipient of the Partnership Award. And both of these really highlight the fact that this is a partnership, that these task force members have been an integral part to creating this plan and ensuring that it's well represented in its development. I'll hand it over to Mayor Norton.
There was just a wonderful presentation about this done locally, but the city of Rochester has been part of some work being done through the University of Minnesota and Sierra Club and others. And 14 air quality monitors were installed throughout greater Rochester and the downtown core to try to understand air quality concerns, not just now, but planning for the future as we grow. Monitor locations were picked based on geographic spacing, environmental justice, census tract, and traffic patterns. And the data will assist the city in policy decisions around transportation and transit, planning and other key decision-making areas as the development continues. You can see on the map here the locations of the monitors, and it might also be mentioned that we used to only have one out by Ben Franklin Elementary School. And I think the research that was done by the university and students showed that it was not necessarily representative of the rest of the community at large. And so we're learning as we go.
Yeah, this picture was actually taken today. So that is kind of what the air quality looks like in Rochester today. You can see the downtown, there are 4 sensors downtown that aren't quite up and running yet. Those are larger sensors that will monitor a lot more metrics than these purple air ones here. And those should be up pretty soon here. But really these will help us create this baseline of air quality so that we know where we're at as all of this development continues downtown, and we can monitor if it's changing or affecting any areas disproportionately. We also had our 2020 benchmarking highlights. So last year we moved from 90 benchmark properties up to 112. This represents about 13,026 households, which is around 12% of the citywide building energy. So those buildings also make up 7% of our citywide greenhouse gas emissions. So far, Rochester's median Energy Star score is 72, which is above the national median of 50. And some of our new program entrants last year were 5 West Bar and Restaurant, our first hotel, Home to Suites by Hilton, St. Mary's University Cascade Meadows location, Channel 1 Food Bake, Family Service Rochester, and Buena Vista Condominiums. This program allows property owners and building owners to measure their energy use so that they can tell how it's changing and performing day to day and throughout the year to identify savings opportunities. As you can see, if these buildings make up 7% of our greenhouse gas emissions as a city, reducing their energy use can help us get closer towards those sustainability goals mentioned at the beginning of this presentation.
And I think, Lauren, I would just mention you can't improve what you don't measure. And so this is a wonderful opportunity, not just for these businesses, but for our whole community. And it's my hope that this will continue to grow. Some communities have mandated programs. We're doing voluntary, but I think there's room for more if they want to contact the city.
Exactly. Thank you. And there's a whole page with resources. So we're currently recruiting new participants and helping current participants input their data right now. And I'll hand it off to Mayor Norton for our last update here.
The city has just released a sustainability website and asset map. There's a sample of it here to the left. It's a page on the City of Rochester's brand new website. The new sections include environmental sustainability, social equity, and economic health. The new pages are on climate action, air quality, transportation, energy, waste, and recycling, equity and inclusion, and municipal sustainability. The sustainability asset map was launched in December 2020, and it highlights the various environmental, social, and economic sustainability assets in our community. And we're always open for new suggestions. This is really exciting, and her team for getting this rolling.
Thank you. And that's it for our kind of update on what we've been up to this past year in 2020. There's already a lot in the works here for 2021, but we'll just leave it open for any questions or discussion here.
So at this time, if you have a question for Lauren or Mayor Norton, you can put that into the chat, or if you would prefer to unmute and ask it verbally, you may do that as well.
Hey, Mayor Norton, it's Jessica with KIMT. Wanted to ask if there's any specific area you think Rochester really does need to improve. Obviously, there are several key areas, but one in particular that you think stands out.
Well, I think we're in an interesting position here in Rochester with limitations on how we can impact our greenhouse gases until we get out of our contract through the Rochester Public Utilities SIMPA contract. So I think right now we've been focusing on buildings and new construction. With all the new growth and development in the community, certainly that's an area that we just assure that our new DMC and citywide projects are held to a high standard. I think that's I won't say it's low-hanging fruit because it's those are big projects, but I think that's certainly an area to look at. And the other area that comes to mind is transit, as we are working toward our bus rapid transit and trying to encourage people to walk and bike and use transit as opposed to every individual in a single car. That those are the buildings and transportation are our two largest areas I think that we can impact. And Lauren, do you have any other thoughts on that?
No, I would agree. I think, that's our biggest potential and the biggest impact is the buildings and transportation. I think transportation is a lot longer of a timeline and involves a lot more than, just simply reviewing buildings and looking at what their energy savings opportunities are. So I think it's going to take a little longer to see that transition happen.
And I think the challenge, Jessica, is going to be how do we, and this is what the Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force was all about, how do we engage our whole community? So as Lauren described in the talk, we have involved hundreds of people in the development of the Sustainability and Resiliency plan that you'll be seeing here. I don't know, Lauren, what day you're looking at, but in the next month or two. And then it's our charge to make sure that the entire community embraces these concepts and takes ownership for them, because it's not just something the city can do, it's something we all have to do.
I have a follow-up question to that. You mentioned the contract with SIMPA, and I'm just curious what the city can do to incentivize electrification, both with buildings and transportation.
Well, things like EarthFest are small starts. We highlight every year the whole concept of saving the earth. We have, there's an event this week with electric vehicles. I've been posting it out there, which is, exciting, putting in the infrastructure that we need in our community so that incentivizes people to use it. Lauren, do you have other thoughts?
Yeah, I would say really just continuing to be a leader and an example for others. I think when it comes to building, there are some incentives in place, such as our TIF policy, our tax increment financing. So if people are adhering to those certain green building codes or practices, they'll get a little bit of incentive there. I think for transportation, we're continuing to build out our infrastructure as best as we can. This year in 2021, we're embarking on an EV infrastructure planning process. So mapping out what that will look like for our community and where are the best locations as we continue to build this out. Same with electrification of our public transit. We have 4 buses that have been purchased as a result of grants that will come online within the next 2 years. So just continuing to look for those opportunities that allow us to advance these things and encourage others to do those as well. You know, part of the city green team, even at looking at how we can electrify our fleet and sharing that with the community, hopefully encourages other private entities to do the same things as well.
And you both had mentioned community involvement. Obviously, that can be a little bit harder when we're talking about really big projects, building projects, transportation. But on a individual level, are there things that people can do to really contribute, maybe whether it's to these bigger projects or just day-to-day starting now?
Well, there certainly are. And I would just say right prior to the pandemic, I started an initiative and I was sharing a thought or idea that individuals could personally do every day on Facebook. And unfortunately, the pandemic hit, and at some point it became kind of tone deaf. People were more concerned, obviously, and for good reason, for their own personal health rather than the world's health, at least for a short period of time. And so I think I posted for 160 or 70 days, different ideas. And sometimes, and as I told people at the time, we don't expect everyone to do everything, but if everyone chooses some things that they can do that fit for their lifestyle, all of it will make a difference. One of the areas, I know you mentioned what are some areas maybe we could improve on, is really a tough one for a lot of people, which is water. That is one of the areas when we were deemed a gold lead city that we still had some work to do. I remember Kevin Bright from DMC, Lauren's counterpart over there, mentioned that water was an area we could do some improvement on, and things like watering your yards and having the automatic water systems, which we have some around the city, is one, I think considered kind of a wasteful areas that we could improve on. And so hopefully we'll be able to share ideas, even for maybe reprogramming those to have better effects for the environment, not just how pretty your yard is. We'll keep it green, but also offer some suggestions to save the planet.
I think to add to that too, just using your voice, a big part of what we continue to hear across community engagement is better diversity of representation in our communities. So just encouraging people to use their voice and participate in these engagement opportunities as they arise. If these are things you want to see happen in our community, then speak out and promote those happening, or talk to your constituents, or reach out to city employees or different departments. I think that's the biggest thing that we can do, is if we're trying to get our city to move in this direction, we need the voices behind us to support those changes.
So it sounds like a takeaway here is, yes, people can do things day to day, and of course that really does contribute, but if they do want to get involved in these bigger projects, as you said, Lauren, we need to use our voices in support, and that's one way to really get involved.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And the city of Rochester, I signed on as mayor, as that used to be called We Are All In. It is now called America is All In. And I've signed the pledge again this year, and we're doing our part here in the city of Rochester, and hope to be a leader and help other communities across the country. Even, and I will tell you this, Jessica, and for everyone, the work that Lauren and Kevin did in helping that sustainability task force, of which there are some people here that were on that task force, and I very much appreciate their input. That's not only did it win 2 awards, but it's just an outstanding way of involving people and getting more community enthusiasm and interest and ideas from people that live in this community, kind of grassroots up rather than just top down. So we need both.
And to add to that, this is Stephanie with EarthFest. Our website really is combining all different upcoming events, both that the city is putting on, but also that community organizations are putting on that encourage and can expand people's knowledge of different individual sustainable actions. So we just announced that Litter Bit Better is going to be happening this year, which is our citywide trash cleanup event. We've got some programs coming up on how to convert some of your lawn to more sustainable plants and tips for resilient yards. So there's a lot of exciting events coming up that you can access all of the details from our EarthFest website.
One of my last questions here is, obviously with population in Rochester is more than 100,000 people. We've got 11 participants here. So just really spread a message and get that out there. Is there one key takeaway, and I know that's hard, or maybe two key takeaways that you would like people to hear and to really get out there?
Well, I guess I would say that Rochester is a leader, that we care deeply as a community about not just saving the planet and saving the environment, but also in environmental justice. And we want to make sure that everyone in our community is treated equitably when it comes to environmental issues, and that, join us in this effort. And I would ask that of our community, join us in the effort and be part of the solution moving ahead.
Yeah, I would really mirror that. We're really working on this concept of that complete picture of sustainability. It's not just the environment, it's the social equity aspects, it's the economic health components of it. And you really truly do need all of those together to help the community. So I think that holds true. And again, the more people that are participating in these things and taking action, the more it becomes the norm, the more that people are seeing others do it and start picking up on it as well. So like Mayor Norton said, we really are our leader in a lot of these aspects, and we look to our community members to help us be that leader.
And my hope is, as happens with other programming, that it's hard for people to get away during the day, but this will be online and that thousands of people will see it secondarily, which is typically what happens with these types of events. And I'm very glad they recorded it so that people who are, of course, working during the middle of the work week are able to still gain the information, have access at their convenience to the information. So I'm not discouraged by a small group today because I know they'll be seeing it later.
Well, thank you, everyone. I'll give a moment for you to think of a few more questions while I recognize a few more of our sponsors. So a thank you to Gaduna Consulting, Minnesota Public Radio, the Sierra Club, Solar Connection, and Christ United Methodist Church for being EarthFest sponsors this year. Are there any other questions out there, either for Mayor Norton or Lauren?
Can I add something, Stephanie?
Of course.
Well, one of the things I would add is I see Mary Idso is in the audience here, and Mary and her husband have worked, they've done phenomenal work just in our community and in their neighborhood, but also in their own home. And the Idsos went off the grid during the cold snap this year. And I can just tell you, I've had interest from across the state about the work that they're doing and in learning from them. So again, as I mentioned, Rochester's a leader. It's not necessarily the city that's the leader. We have people like the IDSOs that are committed and experimental and adventurous and gutsy. And they've done some really fabulous work. So I just want to call them out because they are examples and they're not alone. I think there'll be a program, I don't know if it's today or there's a program coming up where both of the two families who have kind of done the same thing this year are going to be highlighted. And there are people across the state, as I mentioned, really interested in learning more. So thank you, Mary.
We have an event on that coming up on April 19th on electrifying your home, where Ivan and two other local homeowners will talk about how they electrified their home.
Thank you, Megan. I couldn't remember, I read about it, but I couldn't remember the dates. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. I just have a few more sponsors that I'd like to recognize as we wrap up here. So thank you to HGA, People's Food Co-op, the Rochester Area Foundation, XRG Concepts, and Zumbro Valley Audubon for sponsoring EarthFest this year. And we did put out in the chat a link to our EarthFest website. And as Mayor Norton said, and we had mentioned earlier, we are recording this meeting to a presentation today, and we'll be sending that out both to those that registered for the event, but we'll also be sharing that on the website and on our Facebook page and other partner Facebook pages so that we can really spread the word and people are able to receive the details via this update on their own time. Well, thank you to Mayor Norton and Lauren Jensen, our sustainability coordinator at the City of Rochester. I'll open it up for anyone else to say some ending words. Otherwise, we hope to see you at an upcoming event, and you can register online for free and get all the details sent right to your email inbox. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.